Hey everyone, this is X Nguyen from runebase.org, and you're watching the friendly introduction to THORChain. Now, if you're like most people, you're interested in THORChain, but a lot of the content and material that's out there on THORChain right now, even though it's great content, it's not really easy to understand. It's not super accessible or friendly to beginners who are just getting started with THORChain. And so the purpose of this video is to provide the friendliest, easiest introduction to THORChain. It's an incredible protocol, and I'm happy to share it with you here today. Now, this guide, this series, is going to be a 7-part series through which we're going to cover all of, or not all, but the important aspects of THORChain for a beginner. There's going to be a decent amount, a lot, frankly, that we leave out for more technical audiences that you can find from other sources. But for this video, we're going to start with a high-level overview and introduction to what is THORChain. And so with that, let's go ahead and jump in. Now, THORChain, at its most basic level, is a protocol that enables users to exchange and earn yield on cryptocurrencies across different blockchains without going through a centralized custodial exchange. Now, if any of this is confusing to you or doesn't mean much to you, don't worry. Through the rest of this series, we're going to explain what all of this means. But for now, what we're going to do is break this down really quickly. Exchange and earn yield is pretty straightforward. It allows you to swap assets like Bitcoin to Ethereum. And like that example of swapping from Bitcoin to Ethereum, you're swapping across different blockchains. So these two currencies, Bitcoin and Ethereum as an example, they're not on the same blockchain. And so that makes swapping and exchanging between them more complicated. And then we'll also talk about what it means and the importance of centralization versus decentralization. Now, in order to start with this explanation, we're actually going to take a step back here and we're going to talk about the importance of Bitcoin and Ethereum in the first place. And if any of this is review for you, or if you already know this, feel free to skip through later in the video or to another video altogether. But to start, we'll give a brief explanation of the importance of cryptocurrencies. Before cryptocurrencies, we spent our whole lives saving up money, saving up this economic energy, working for money. And then we would take that money, which is in many ways, it's our life force. It's the energy that we're going to use to feed ourselves, to feed our families, and to educate our children. And then we take that pile of money and we put it in the trust and the custody of institutions, of corporations, of banks, of money transmitters, of financial service providers. And then we trust everybody in that institution. We trust their boards. We trust their CEOs. We trust their shareholders. We trust their system administrators, the developers. And then furthermore, that monetary energy, that life force, is denominated in currencies that we're trusting politicians and bureaucrats not to inflate away and not to abuse. And while, if we live in the West, we might be able to take for granted that we do have a strong government and strong institutions, but that's not really something that that everybody in the world can take for granted. And that's also not something that we can take for granted for life. I mean, now, as of July 2021, we're looking forward to a period of potentially high inflation in the US dollar. And so what's coming to light is that the politicians, the bureaucrats, the corporations that we're trusting to custody our assets are oftentimes, they have many competing interests, and our interests as individuals aren't always top of mind. And so for the first time ever with Bitcoin, with cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, individuals like us have the ability and the freedom to have full self-custody and full sovereign access and control of our own monetary life force and our own monetary energy. If we have our private keys for Bitcoin or for Ethereum, really nobody can stand in the way of us and access to our wealth. We can access and tap into our wealth anywhere in the world from any internet-connected device, despite what any political or corporate or institutional regime might have to say about it. And that's extremely empowering. However, today, there's no way to exchange between assets, cryptocurrencies on different blockchains, except to go through centralized intermediaries. And so today, if you want to exchange assets between different blockchains like Bitcoin and Ethereum, the only way to do that is to go through centralized custodial exchanges like Coinbase, Binance, Kraken, Gemini, FTX, etc. And as soon as you do that, as soon as you put your assets on a centralized custodial intermediary, the very value and the very feature that makes cryptocurrencies valuable in the first place becomes undermined. And that's actually a disappointing fact. And it's such an important fact that Vitalik Buterin, the founder of Ethereum, shared this tweet about a year and a half ago. He said, we should put resources towards a proper trustless, serverless, maximally Uniswap-like user experience. We'll talk about what that means. But we should put resources towards a proper Ethereum to Bitcoin decentralized exchange. It's embarrassing that we still can't easily move between the two largest ecosystems, crypto ecosystems, trustlessly. And we agree. And that today is exactly what THORChain enables. As a decentralized exchange protocol, and we'll talk later about what it means to be a protocol, THORChain enables users to trade between cryptocurrencies across different blockchains without sacrificing the decentralized, non-custodial, and trustless values that make cryptocurrencies valuable in the first place. And so in the same way that Bitcoin has changed the way we interact with money and with banking, and how Ethereum has changed the way we interact with financial services and infrastructure and application architecture, THORChain is changing the way that we are going to exchange value between crypto assets in the entire crypto economy. And this has huge implications. Think of every cryptocurrency exchange, all the biggest crypto exchanges you can think of: Coinbase, Binance, FTX, Kraken, Gemini, the list goes on and on. These are extremely important companies today, but they're not truly native to blockchains and to cryptocurrencies and to Web3. They are traditional old school analogs that have been carried over, and they will stand to be disrupted and their business models changed by these decentralized exchanges and by global, what we call liquidity pools, which we'll talk more about. And so we're extremely excited about this, and that's why we're excited to bring you this guide here today. And so thank you so much for watching. This has been the first in a 7-part series, a brief introduction to what is THORChain. And in the next video, we're going to cover swapping assets using THORChain, what that looks like today. So join us in the next video, and we'll see you there. Peace.